Kelly, the chair, the recently appointed chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I welcome you to our meeting. I apologize for my fuzzy picture. It is my camera. I don't know how to fix it. So look elsewhere if it makes you blurry-eyed. I'm going to do the roll call first, starting with Henry Rua, who is the recently appointed vice chair of the Zoning Board. Henry, are you here? I know he's here. Henry?
There's a little triangle on his screen that might mean he's having computer problems.
Really is. Okay.
Yeah, he's got low bandwidth.
Okay. Joe Mayone?
Here.
Okay. Tim Scott, are you here yet or no?
Yes, I'm here, Patty.
He's here. And Holly Strutt, who is our alternate.
Here.
Yes. And then I want to introduce Randy Ricks, who is the newest member of the ZBA board and is very welcomed. He brings a lot of experience in emergency services, which is very applicable to what we're talking about. So welcome, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to ask Holly at this point if she will join the board for the Verizon segment of the discussion tonight. Holly, will you join for the Verizon?
Yes.
Okay. And then Randy, you will participate obviously in the discussion on the Embassy Suite Starbucks. Okay. The first application that we're going to talk about tonight is the new business Embassy Holding / Starbucks. The property is zoned General Business Gateway Overlook District. The proposed Starbucks coffee shop is 2,400 square feet with a lot size of 0.76 plus or minus an acre. It's the site, for those of you who don't know, it's the site of the Dairy Queen, the former Dairy Queen on Route 212. The applicant is requesting a 20-foot variant to the required 50-yard rear building setback. This application was referred to us by the planning board, so there is nothing from the building inspector. That's one of the rare times that we hear things without the building inspector. But he has been in touch with the planning board. And the planning board referred this to us because of the setbacks, but they are in the midst of their site plan review. So without further ado, who is representing Embassy tonight?
Hello, my name is Qatar. I'm with Pretorius and Conrad. I'm representing Embassy Suites tonight.
Okay. Qatar, could you tell us a little bit about the proposal?
Yes,
we've all seen the site plan. And
I don't know if I can share my screen, but I can probably put the map up.
Now, the site plan you're going to show us is the one you sent us, but it's being altered by the planning board. Is that correct?
No, this is the site plan that is currently, I don't know if everybody can see this.
This is the one that's already been worked on with you and the planning board?
Yes, this is the one that we worked on with the planning board.
Okay.
The issue we had with the site is the size of the lot is basically an existing site. You know, it's an existing site. It's relatively small, and there are a lot of requirements to trying to put a retail like a Starbucks when it comes to traffic and the required stacking distance that we need for the drive-through. The planning board, when we approached first, we tried to put the building inside the zoning envelope, and we could not provide that long wrapping drive-through to go around and not be an issue with those parked cars. They brought up the issue that it's at Starbucks in Kingston where at their peak hours, their stacking cars actually blocks some of the parking spaces and people get stuck behind that, and they definitely didn't want to do that. So they encouraged for an alternative look into it, and between, we went back and forth with the design with the board, and finally, this design that you see here that we provided is basically what the board all agree on, that it's basically the perfect fit for this site. The only problem we're having is that the zoning setback, as you can see, goes right through the building. Now, the entrance to the plaza is actually a private road, not a road, it's just a private driveway. So it's not considered to be a road. So this line here is not a front. The only front this site has is the one on Route 32-212. So these are two sides, and the back would be the line adjacent to the parking area of the CVS Plaza.
No, let me ask a question. Right, I was over at the site the other day. Right now, the back of your property is the those cement blocks that are there. Is that?
I don't know where relation with the cement blocks are, but it might
Well,
not be exact.
there's a border. There's a
Roughly,
cement border.
roughly would be back there, but I don't know if it's exactly at the cement block.
Okay, and are you looking to remove those and to go right out to the
Yes,
road that goes?
right now there's two entrances that go to the site right from Route 212. We are proposing to close these entrances and make everything come through from the plaza site. From here.
Okay, okay,
And the way right now the circulation happens is basically, you know, everybody comes through here, and then, you know, it would go through the drive-through, as you can, I don't know if you see my marking, and then come around without making any interference with the or the cars that are currently being parked.
okay.
There's a drive-through window right here, and again, there is a stop sign right here for the inside the plaza. So we try to make our in and out away from that. So if the cars are leaving, they're not interfering with this location right here.
Does anybody on the board have any questions?
The cars that
No?
are parked there, they can go back out the way they came in, correct?
They can. This is a two-way lane. It's 24 feet between them.
Thank you.
So all we are being asked to do is to grant the variance for the setback, the rear setback, and then the rest of the project is still under site plan review with the planning board. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
They just can't move forward without having.
I understand.
Yep.
So all the traffic in and out will happen behind on that road, and then they'll come out and they'll have the light that's already there by the
Yes.
CVS.
Yes.
So it's better. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Other than Randy, does anybody have a question? Okay, Qatar, you understand that we have to hold a public hearing on this.
Okay.
So that will happen at the July meeting, July 12th. And Kevin, if you would explain, you have to notify people who are your neighbors 500 feet in any direction. And Kevin is going to explain to you what you have to do.
Right. So we can provide you with a template, basically stating the purpose of the letter. And I will send a Excel spreadsheet of all residents and businesses within the 500-foot radius. You'll have to send it out by certified mail. And,
Okay.
And I believe it's a week before the next hearing. You'll need to have all those green cards, that is the return receipts, available to me.
Okay.
If you can't provide them, you can take pictures and send them to my email address.
Sure.
And they have to go certified. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Did it? He
Yeah,
say certified?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Qatar, for us?
No, I mean, so far it's going the way I thought it would go. So, you know, if you guys
That's unusual
are in
for us.
agreement that this is a good layout, we're good.
Okay. Well, thanks. We'll see you next month.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, Mr. Olson, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the completed package. It was nice to see that we have the site plan and the survey matched up on things. There are some other things that we're going to want to talk about, but first I thought it would be best for you to show the photographs that we didn't see last time, if that's all right. Go through the
will.
whole balloon test photos, because nothing else has changed since last time, correct?
No, nothing else has changed. I'm just trying to
Okay.
scroll down to get that. So what we submitted was there we go. Okay. Let's go down here. So I What I have right now is what we submitted on May 17th. And I didn't identify every photo that is new. This has all the photos.
We didn't go through any of the photos. We were last time. So let's start from the beginning and go through them all.
You got it. So there's a lot of them, but this is the first photo. This is taken from the parking lot of Ulster Landing County Park. Significantly, this is because it's a park. This is one of the two basically aesthetic inventoried resources. And I would invite you to read the tectonic description when it comes to determining significant visual impacts. The board is supposed to focus on those resources that are aesthetically important and inventoried, or resources that the public generally enjoys. But anyway, this is one of the two, and they confirmed that from this location, I'm trying to make it bigger.
It's not seen.
What's that?
It's not seen. The tower is not seen.
You got it. Exactly right. This is from the second basically inventoried aesthetic resource, the High Woods multiple use area. Same thing. It will not be visible from this location. And this goes down to 119 Main Street, the Kiersted House, again, not visible from this location. 28 Minders Street. I don't know if I
Minder.
got that. That's okay. So, and so that's the house again, not visible from that location. The Flatbush Reformed Church, not visible. Meyer Homestead, not visible.
Which one? There's more than one. So what's
So
the
this
address
is
on that?
at 1076 Kings Highway.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This is from the Brink Homestead, not visible. The old schoolhouse along Kings Highway, not visible. All right, and this is from the Cockburn house, and it will be partially visible. This is the photograph, and the arrow is pointing to the top of the balloon there. The next photo, well, it's the photo and simulation. You can see that's the top of the tower. Good part of the tower will be screened by this existing vegetation. The other thing that we noted was, it's hard to see, you're getting 1,000 feet away here, but you have what appears to be an 80-foot lattice tower. There's another 80-foot lattice tower, in between the property, the structure, and our proposed tower. So you have existing utilities right along.
Were these these were part of the original photographs?
Yes.
So it's pre the leafing out on the trees.
Exactly. So you can see here, this is a deciduous tree, and the leaves are,
Okay.
they're not out. Yes, that's correct.
Just so we're clear when that switches over to the later ones.
Understood. So so this is a later one, I believe. Actually, I'm sorry. This might be one of the later ones. I believe it was. The leaves are just starting to come out, but they're not fully out. So we were lucky that all the leaves were not out. This is another one that was taken during the second visit out. And this is, from the 1840 brick home. So you can see the balloons. The lower balloon is where the antennas would be. And you can see that it's going to be significantly screened by the existing trees.
What is the address? 801?
801 Kings Highway.
Thank you.
What's the upper balloon on that last one?
So the upper balloon we had to fly 2 balloons. That came from the first balloon test that we did back with the other site. It's a marker balloon, essentially. It allows us to just say, hey, okay, if the lower balloon is not visible, we want to make sure that we can see the upper balloon to know that it's not visible. It just helps the people out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that was flown at 200 feet, I believe. I'm sorry. Okay. So this one's from the second. the Meyer homestead. Again, not visible from this location. This is from the, what is it, the Levi Meyer house, 1792. Again, not visible.
What's the address, please?
694 Kings Highway.
We just can't see. They're too small for us to read, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if that will help at all, but
That's better.
I'm just trying to get the whole picture. I'm not sure what exactly you're seeing, but that's fine. I'll read them. This is 198 Dussel Road.
Dussel Road. This is one of the latest ones. This was after the leaves were out.
Yes, and they were not able to see it from this location. 347 Old Powder Mill Road, the York House, 1770. Not visible.
But again, it was after the leaves were out.
But some of them are out. Absolutely. Some of these are not out. So I think it was a mix. There were some early leaves, but some of the, again, I think the oak trees, they tended to come out towards the end of May, early June.
Well, these were done in the second set of photos.
These were done, and that's correct. Yep. And so this was done in the first set of the photos. Even with them, some leaves were starting to come out. But this is the intersection of Glasgow Turnpike and Glenary Lane. Not visible. Railroad, these were looking west from the railroad tracks adjacent to the post office. And the arrows pointing to a balloon, very hard to see, but there's a top balloon is right there, and the bottom balloon is right there, and you'll see the simulation afterwards. And this is, again, this was done in the first set of photos. Leaves are, some leaves or buds are starting to show, but generally they're not out. And, oops, I'm sorry. So that's why they didn't sim it, because you can barely even see it.
Just for clarification, this post office is on Glasgow Turnpike, right before the railroad tracks leading up to Kings Highway, for those of you who don't know where this is. Okay.
Thank you. Looking south from I-87 at mile marker 98.5. So this is not visible, but the arrow is pointing to the marker balloon. So Holly, this is one of the cases where they knew where it was, but the marker balloon, while it's visible, the bottom balloon is not visible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And this is just same from I-87, but mile marker 98.2. And here you can see both the marker balloon and the lower balloon with the arrow pointing to the lower balloon. I don't know if that helps at all. And obviously it's going to be partially visible from that location on I-87. Come on. All right. Looking south from the intersection of Kings Highway and Tissel Road. And this, they reported, it is not visible from that location. Here it obviously is going to be, visible. Looking west from the intersection of Kings Highway and Warren Myers Road.
Okay, just so you understand, this property where the Warren Myers Road is part of the Meyer homestead. There's a whole series of homes that are part of the Meyer homestead. So that is one of them right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And that is just, I'm sorry. Yep, that's the simulation of what it would look like at the proposed height. So looking northeast from 793 Kings Highway, arrow is pointing down. You can just see that red balloon there. So that it's a chance that it'll be partially visible. Not really when. I'm sorry.
This is part of the second set of photos after the leaves were mainly out.
Correct. Absolutely. Oops. So this is looking northeast from along Sheehan Lane near Schoolhouse Road. and it will not be visible from this location. Looking northeast from the intersection of Clint Finger Road and Kings Highway will not be visible. This was part of, looks like the second.
Yes.
This is looking north from 600 Kings Highway, the Boyce Farms, and it will be partially visible, although you are, from this location, you're generally about a mile, give or take, away from the site, which is obviously shown by that red arrow. So at a mile away, you know, the ability of the eye to kind of discern it, given the clutter that's surrounding it. You can, I don't even know how they saw the balloons, honestly. They probably saw them because they were there, but on the photo, it's, for me at least, if my eyes are getting a little old, it's next to impossible to see it. This is looking northeast from 753 Kings Highway. Again, this looks like it's the second set of photos and it will not be visible. Looking south from 1214 Churchland Road will not be visible. Looking northeast from 655 Glasgow Turnpike will not be visible. Looking east from 128 Snyder Road will not be visible. Okay, looking northeast from the intersection of Town Road and Glasgow Turnpike will not be visible. Looking northeast from the intersection of Glasgow Turnpike and Churchland Road. And as you can see, it will be partially visible. The arrows point into the bottom balloon. This is looking west from 807 Kings Highway. It will be partially visible. This was taken during the second outing. This is looking west from 810 Kings Highway. And as you can see, it will be partially visible, but mostly screened by the existing vegetation. Looking northeast from 775 Kings Highway. It will be visible from this location. You can see both balloons, but, and here we go, we have the simulation, and that's the simulation as to what it will look like. Okay, so 783 Kings Highway, we're looking northeast, and again, you can see both balloons. It will be visible. And that's what it will look like, the simulation. Looking northeast from 600 Glasgow Turnpike, it will not be visible from this location. Looking north from 784 Kings Highway, this will be visible. You can see both balloons, and there is the simulation. Looking northeast from the Mount Marion Fire Department, 766 Kings Highway. Again, you can see the balloons, so it will be visible, and that's what it will look like. There's the structure right there. The red arrow is pointing to it. Looking northeast from south of intersection of Glasgow Turnpike and Dussel Road, and it will be visible from that location. And that's what it'll look like. And this is looking southwest from the intersection of Route 9W and Route 32. It will not be visible. And looking southwest from 16 Livingston Street at the intersection of Livingston Street and First Street, it will not be visible. And, you know, we're at this point, we're more than 15,000 feet away. So you're almost 3 miles away, but still it's not visible. And if you're looking southeast from the intersection of Route 212 and Blue Mountain Road, it will not be visible. That's obviously not our tower.
Well, it is your tower, but it's not the
Well,
tower.
I believe it's SBA's tower. We're on it, but it's not the tower that we're proposing exactly. And so this one's, you know, just looking northeast from the southbound Ulster Travel Plaza along I-87 will not be visible. And looking northeast from 166 Hill Road will not be visible. Looking north along Route 209 at the railroad crossing will not be visible. And looking north from the intersection of Glenreed Boulevard and Eastern Parkway will not be visible. And that concludes all of the photographs and simulations that we submitted.
Okay, while you're there, just before we go to the other question, just go down to the application that follows it right there.
Okay.
Right. In the original application, Scott, you had a little bit of a narrative, and in that narrative, you requested the variances. You don't request the variances in this application, and I think you need to. I put the variances that are going to be needed into the agenda, but this needs to come from Verizon and Tarpon. So in the narrative portion, if you could just include your variance request, because that's what you're making is a variance request. That's an important thing to have in the document. Okay?
Sure, but when you mean the original application, I mean, do you mean the one that was done for the fire department?
No. The original application made for this, that you made for this. We're on our third now. This is the second supplemental. You did the original, then you did a supplemental, and this is the second supplemental. The very first one.
I didn't
that
just,
you had.
yeah, but I didn't change. Okay, I'll see what I did, but I didn't change. The only thing I changed are what I crossed out and circled here and then initialed.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure, but I'll look at it. I don't want to waste everybody's time.
Okay, because it does need to be in there. Because you
Okay.
had the variance request at the very bottom of page 5 of that portion, and they're not in this one.
So this right here where it says that's not good enough, where we say the proposed setbacks. But I'll put
Don't
it in
the
a narrative.
setbacks, but you're now, you have to request the variances. 50 feet here, you know, whatever they are now, 55 feet.
I can add it here. I've got it in my other
Yeah.
narrative because.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
add it. It needs to be added. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's fine.
Okay, now, does anybody from the board have any questions about the photos that you just saw? You can take down your display, Scott.
Yep. I'm sorry. Here.
Nobody has any questions or comments? Dan, do you have anything you'd like to say about this?
You're muted, Dan.
My business. You hear me?
Yeah, we hear an echo for some reason, but
Try not to it's not working. I see 2 boxes up here. I have 2 boxes up here.
You sound fine right now.
Now?
Oh.
Kevin, can you see if he's on here, if he's signed in twice?
I do see him on video and I also see him over here, but I will. Well, he's only unmuted. He's only muted and unmuted in each, so I don't see the issue.
Okay,
Are
go
you-
ahead, Dan. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, well, I've reviewed the the echoes is driving me nuts.
We're not hearing it.
You don't hear an echo?
No.
Kev, why don't you there you go.
Hello?
We can hear you, Dan.
Okay, I'll try and keep talking and ignore myself. I have reviewed the report submitted by the applicant, Scott Olson. Reviewed the process and the results of the photographs that were taken. Let's just remember the purpose of the visual analysis is to address under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, otherwise known as SEQR, as what the impacts on sensitive receptors are from proposed development. And sensitive viewing points or viewpoints are designated for their aesthetic or cultural qualities and generally include parks, scenic vistas, historic sites, other important public buildings, and those which are accessible to the general public. Under SEQR, the lead agency will be required to make a determination as to the significance of the impact on those sites. DEC, with the overseer of the SEQR process, has developed procedures to and criteria for evaluating visual impact. Their policy states that it is intended to address places or locations that have been officially designated for their aesthetic qualities and are accessible to the public at large, as opposed to places that may have individual or private importance only. The policy also states that aesthetic impact occurs when there is a detrimental effect on the perceived beauty of a place or structure. Mere visibility of a project should not be a threshold decision making. Therefore, the analysis that the applicant did appropriately focused on those receptors or aesthetic sites that would be involved or could be affected by the proposed action. And as it turns out, there are relatively few. There were only 2 places that had.
Dan, we're having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I'm having trouble hearing me too. You want me to wind up as quickly as possible?
No, finish. Just stay closer to the mic.
Oh, okay. Where was I? Yeah, there were relatively few places which are really fall under the definition of significant aesthetic places within 5-mile radius of the project. Of the 2 public access sites, neither had visibility of the project. And of 12 culturally significant, only 1 would be visible to the site, That's at a half-mile distance. I think that the basic conclusion is that there are few, if any, significant adverse effects on designated aesthetic resources. Site can be seen from other places, but not some of those identified significant resources. There's a few minor errors in the analysis, but none of them are significant or change the conclusions. One of the interesting things related to this is that you notice a lot of the pictures were taken that only show the upper portion of the tower in those places where it's visible. If the tower were the same height as the one proposed on the fire department site, which was 30 feet lower, quite a number of those visible locations would no longer be visible. Some of the discussion we've had about the need for the height of the tower is also relevant in terms of the visual impact. But based on the extent of the resources, limited visibility, it's my opinion that there is no significant impact. But let me emphasize, that's my recommendation or my opinion. As part of the secret process, a lead agency will have to be designated, and it's the lead agency's responsibility to come to a conclusion as to whether impacts are significant or not, and they very well may not agree with my conclusion. Thank you.
Dan, given what you've just told us, would you have a recommendation about how this should be classified under SECRA?
Yes, I believe that this is an unlisted action under SECRA. And for those of you not familiar with the classifications under SECRA, there are three categories. Type 1 is those actions which are considered most likely to have significant impacts. Type 2 are those determined not to have any impact and are not subject to further SECRA consideration. And everything in between is called an unlisted action. And I think this falls in between as an unlisted action.
Okay, thanks. Does the board have any questions for Dan at this point? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to classify this application as an unlisted classification under the SECRA? Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion, Patty.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second it, Patty.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Okay, let's do a roll call vote on this, please. Henry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Joe? Joe, can you hear us? I don't know where he went.
She
I'll vote
muted?
yes. Joe, are you there?
I'm here. Yes, I was muted, I guess. So
Oh,
I vote
oh,
yes.
Okay, so Kevin, you got all those votes?
I got him.
Okay, now this application, our role in it is only to do the variances, the area variances. The planning board is an interested party in this because they do the site review for it when we finish with the variances. So given that, I'd like to ask if the board would agree for a coordinated review between the planning board and the zoning board under SECRA, and then we would put out a notice for other interested parties for lead agency. Is that, Kim, am I saying that right? I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, the planning board, it's an involved agency because they do.
Can't hear you.
Oh, you hear me now?
Better.
They're an involved agency. The planning board is an involved agency because they do have approval as opposed to an interested agency. But yes, everything else was.
Okay. Just so we don't have to go through that again, I'll make the motion that we do a coordinated review with the planning board since they are an involved agency, and that we will put out a document soliciting others who might want to serve as lead agency. Can I have a second?
I'll second it, Patty. It's Joe.
Okay. Can I have a roll call vote? Henry?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay. Now, Mr. Olson, other than the thing that I just discussed with you about making sure that we have that piece of information in the variance request in the document, we have 3 separate documents from you. Each one is different. We are going to have to obviously send this to the county for their review. What is your, since each one is different, the heights are different, the mapping is different, the variance requests are different, the distances are different. What is your idea in terms of what we should be sending to the county? We want to give them a complete package, but right now we have 3 separate packages that in some ways contradict each other. And, but the last 2 are not complete because they don't have the things that you had in there about home values and so forth. What is your suggestion about that?
So my suggestion depends largely on, well, maybe on how are you going to transmit that? Will it be transmitted electronically or hard copy?
Well, I've never done it before, so I think the county would be very pleased to get it hard copies because otherwise they're going to be dealing with a whole lot of pages and they're obviously going to make copies for other people to look at. So I think that having everything in a electronic copy would be really the way to go on this. Do any of the lawyers disagree with that?
No, we've always sent the hard copy to the county.
We
Okay,
always send hard copies to the county?
Yes.
so based on that, what I would suggest is I will take the existing application that I have, but I'm going to take things out, like the plans that were originally submitted to you. I'm going to insert the new set of plans that we provided to you in our May 17th letter.
The
I'm
new
going to do
site
the
plan.
same. Yep, I'm going to do the same so that they have the current plans.
And the survey.
Exactly, yes. The survey, the plans, Mike's radio frequency supplement, which will include his original analysis, and then the supplement, the application form that I'm going to further revise, and I will then send it into, I'll send, 2 copies if you like. One, I'll send both to the town. One you can send along to the county, one you can keep as a record of this is what we sent to the county.
Okay. Now there's
Scott,
something else that,
Pat?
yes, there's something else we want in there too. Henry, do you want to talk about that?
Okay, if you're going to interject that, go ahead. About the
No,
elevation.
you can say, we're talking about the
Elevation, Scott. Of
elevations, yes.
Of this site versus Mount Marion site.
Yes.
Not Google map, not nothing. A physical, go out and shoot it. Elevations.
So you want to know the actual elevation in terms of feet of both sites?
Yes.
Okay, we have that and we'll provide that.
You have I think you put it in the latest site plan, but we want to compare it to, we obviously want to compare it to the elevation in feet to the one that was at the firehouse and the one that is here. This is in terms of our further discussions, and I'm sure the public has questions about that too, in terms of the height, why we're doing a certain height at one place and a different height at another. So that's a question that I think is important.
Yeah, and I don't have the fire department plans in front of me, but I believe that we have the elevation or can pull the elevation from the plans. I believe that was prepared. So I'll put those together. I know we have that information. That's not hard to do.
Okay. Another thing, just so that we are all prepared, the public is going to have questions, a lot of questions, I'm sure, about alternatives. It would be very good and useful and important for you to be able, when you're presenting at the next meeting, if we do a public hearing, to present the alternatives that you have discussed with the ZBA already, not just for this site, but for the sites that we did before that were in your search area. Sarah had sent us a really long and thoughtful document that had 25 different sites. They were ultimately rejected by you for a variety of reasons. One was most of them were residential, and some were too small, but we need to see all of that. I think it's important for all of us to review that again in the public to see it. And it would also be very helpful, since we have already done a lot of work on the water tower on Kings Highway and the quarry site from the very first application from several years ago, to have those radio frequency maps shown as well, so that we are all talking about the same things. And there may be others that are suggested by others, members of the public, but at least you can bring those up and people can see them and ask questions about them. That's important for both our review and timely review, but also for you to be prepared for what the public is going to want to know about. We're getting a lot of requests about that.
Yeah.
And then finally,
Can I just address that one? I don't mean to cut you off, but
yeah.
In terms of, we know what we looked at in the other area by the fire department, and we provided that information. But for this
Yes.
application, and we can talk about it, in my opinion, is not relevant because we don't need a use variance. We've kind of been pushed over to this area, and we're here now. We don't need a use variance. So if we were to go back to that other location, we would need a use variance. So in a sense, they're not really legal alternatives anymore.
Scott, I think you're missing the point, Scott.
I think you're missing the
You're-
point.
you're-
They are
you're-
relevant. The public has made it relevant, and so therefore it's relevant to the ZBA.
Okay.
So
You're shooting
it's
yourself in the
important.
foot, Scott.
Right. And speaking about alternatives, I have gotten one letter and some comments about the legal notice that was put in the newspapers about over a month ago from a company in Maryland, I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, asking that people who were concerned about the historic properties around this site, the 17 Industrial Road, to send their comments to them within 30 days. I know that you didn't send that out, but that company works for Verizon. Verizon is one of their clients. I looked them up. I don't know who sent it out, but it was really not helpful. First of all, the public had not seen the photographs, so they didn't have any idea of what the impact was going to be on the historic sites. So just be aware that whoever did that did not help the cause.
Well, it's actually a legal requirement. So, I mean, I understand.
We've never had that happen before in all of the sightings that we've done for you over the years. It never happened before.
When a new tower gets proposed, we have to comply with the National Environmental Protection Act, and so it's called NEPA. And we have to do a very detailed due diligence. That's part of the due diligence. We didn't do it. Verizon didn't do it. I believe Tarpon did it, but they had to do it. And I shouldn't say Tarpon did it. They hire a company to do that. They have to reach out to the Indian nations. They have to do a very detailed due diligence about wetlands, about historical properties.
Well, they didn't ask about any of that stuff in that notice. They only asked about historic properties, and anybody who has concerns about them should contact this company. And that's fine if people want. I have no idea if people did, but comments that the public has should come to this board so that we address them. You understand that because, so I just wanted you to know there might be a little bit of antagonism about that. And honestly, I don't disagree with them because it just seemed like it was kind of doing a side run around the ZBA and people interpreted it that way. So I know you and I have talked about it. You didn't do it and you didn't know about it, but somebody in the Verizon family of businesses did it. And it may indeed be what you said, but if so, they didn't ask about all the other stuff that you said they're concerned about. That's just something for you to know about.
And I appreciate that. And again, I'll just stand by. It's something that we have to do. It's federal law. We
Okay.
have no, we can't not do it. It's so, but
I understand that. It just wasn't done
Excuse
very
me.
well. And it certainly wasn't done with any way of getting people to respond because they hadn't seen the
Right.
photographs and they didn't really know what the impact was going to be. So I don't know what they got, but if they fulfilled a requirement, okay.
Patty, excuse me.
Am I leaving anything out, Henry?
Yes, yes. Scott, if what you're saying is true,
Louder, Henry.
why wasn't that done? Well,
We can't hear you.
okay, how about now?
Yeah.
Okay, if what you're saying is fact, why wasn't the same thing done for the proposal at the Mount Marion Firehouse?
I don't know that it wasn't.
This is Brett McGillen at Tarpon Towers. Chairperson and Mr. Rue, we did do it for the fire department. We do it for every site.
Let me
that's
tell you,
part of
Jeannie
business
Jeannie
practices.
Goldberg
So that-
scours those papers and she never saw a notice like that.
Ma'am, you can comment all you like on our business practices or how that was done. I don't think that that's something for this board to pass judgment on in terms of our work to properly permit this site.
Well,
Brett, I'm not passing
sorry.
judgment. I'm saying what the reaction to the public that you need to have behind you to have a successful project was not good. They felt they were being sidelined and that their comments would be sent to some company. And that was just the reaction. You should all be aware of what the reaction was. That's all I'm saying to you is be aware of what people felt about it.
Thank you.
But we're happy to entertain questions when it comes up. That's not a problem.
Okay, and I'm sure if it does come up, it'll come up at the public hearing, or maybe not. Maybe this was enough. So any other questions from the board before we move to whether or not we should entertain a motion to have a public hearing? Any other questions? Henry?
yeah, Scott, so we're on the same page? When I'm asking for elevations, I'm not talking about Google Map now. I'm talking about physical elevation, physical elevation of the site on Industrial Drive.
In terms of a number, like I'm going to throw something out there. This is not the number. 451 and 462. That's what you want, a number?
On a number, but not off of Google Maps. I want actual.
Understood. I believe we have surveyed information that is very accurate.
Okay.
And
I found
Henry, the location that you're interested in is the bottom of the proposed tower at each of those sites.
That's correct. That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. Any, from any of our legal counsel, since I am still relatively new at this chair stuff, have I left out anything, neglected to bring something up that I should have? Please let me know. If not, I'm gonna muddle along here.
I think you're good,
Okay.
Patty. The only item left would be setting a date a motion to consider setting a date to open the public hearing.
But I couldn't hear you, John.
Oh, the only item that's left, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Would be to consider a motion to set a date to open the public hearing.
Yes. Okay, so that is actually next on the agenda here.
If the application is complete, right, John?
So
Once the
Yes.
application
Yes.
is complete,
Yes.
let me just ask the board, do you feel that we have enough information at this point in this application process to deem the application complete with the additional material that Verizon is going to get us that we asked for tonight, but to have a public hearing? Are we in agreement that we should be doing that now? Just say yes, that's fine. We don't have to take a vote. Let me put it the other way. Is there anybody that does not think we should have a public hearing? Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we set a public hearing on this application for July 12th, Monday, July 12th, the next ZBA meeting. And I'm going to take a roll call vote. Henry?
Yes.
You need
Joe.
a second.
Oh,
Patty,
sorry.
you need
Thank
a
you.
second.
Joe,
I'll
since you're
second it.
there, do you want a second?
I'll second the motion, yes.
Good, thank you. Let's start again. Henry,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
I vote yes. So we will begin the public hearing on this application on July 12th. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to speak to Scott Olson or Brett or anybody else about the Verizon application before we tell them they can leave?
Patty, excuse me, will they need 500-foot letters again?
Yes, yes. Now they have the letters, but Scott, you have to change the addresses, you have to change the date on that.
Correct.
And we have to change the variances on it. So why doesn't your, she send it to Kevin and we'll tweak it again, make sure it's right, and then send it back to you. Okay, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That way it's absolutely right before it goes in.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. And you have to send it to people who live within 500 feet. And then you'll send the return responses to Kevin. And those of you from the public who have been waiting patiently for a long time, we thank you for your patience. I know you've wanted to talk and you haven't been able to, but your time is coming. So thank you all very much. I need the board to stay, but
Patty, can I just say one other thing? I just want
yes.
to clarify for Scott that the elevation information and the information that Patty asked for, could you please submit that to the board by the submission deadline before the next meeting so that we can make that information available to the public in advance of the public hearing?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
And Kevin will also send to you what our date is for when we need those materials, okay?
Okay.
All right,
That
thank-
information is easy. That'll be provided in no time.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Anybody, any of the lawyers, any of the board have any other questions about this application? Okay.
No.
Well, thank you very much, all of you, Scott and group.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
We'll see you,
Patty,
and we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Patty, it's Joe.
Yes,
Patty,
Joe. Yes.
before we close, we do need a motion for public hearing for the
Yes.
Starbucks.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just going to do that with the board. Okay, Joe, you want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we have it on the July 12th meeting
For Starbucks.
for Starbucks, yes.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Second is by Henry. Henry, how do you vote? Yes. Joe, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Randy, this is yours.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, thank you for catching that. I thought about it halfway through Verizon, but we got to it. Okay, so we just have to approve minutes and then the rest of the board can leave and everybody else can hang in here if you want to, or you can leave. So let's go to the May 3rd minutes. Will anybody like to make a motion to approve?
Patty,
Yes.
I'm not on the minutes that I received.
You're not on the what?
The minutes that I received for May,
I can't hear you, Henry.
minutes, on the minutes, it says
I put you
present.
back. I put you on there.
I
Do you have
know.
the old one or on the new one? You're in there.
I don't know.
The one that I sent you. I changed it.
I got this from the package that was sent.
He sent the old one. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
So the
Okay,
package had the old.
Kevin, you've got to make sure that the revised minutes that I sent you have Henry as in attendance. He was there and we missed him the first go around. So before you send this to be published on the website, that has to be fixed.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Henry says yes. Joe says yes. Tim?
Yes.
Holly? Holly gone?
Sorry, I
You-
was muted. Yes.
Okay, and I'll say yes. That completes our business, and we got through it.
We got
Very
through
good.
it.
So now, Randy, you know everything?
Yeah.
So Patty, I have a question about the submission deadlines and such. Since we're pushing our next meeting off by a week, that's going to have a cascade effect for all the deadlines, or no?
Let's talk about that tomorrow, okay? I have to look, I want to look at it.
I don't believe it should, Kev.
I don't, you know what? No. I agree with Henry. Let's leave it the way it is. Because that way it gives us ample opportunity to make sure it gets out to the public.
All
I
right.
agree also.
And gets out to the board so that we can see it. I want to make sure that all of the alternatives that I went over with, I'm going to send Scott a letter, just reiterating what alternative sites I'm talking about and what we want, because I don't want there to be misunderstanding. Let's just leave it right now, and then let me look at it and see if it's very distant. Otherwise, I just, now I want to ask all of you on the board, if we do Verizon public, we're doing Verizon public hearing, we're doing a public hearing on the Starbucks. I don't expect that one to take a long time, but we don't know what the county's doing yet. We're now in month 4 of their 1 month they needed. I think the Verizon hearing is going to go on for a while. I think it'll be a heavy duty meeting, and I don't want to cut them off. We'll have to, we may have to go to another month, continue it. But do you think that we should push the county, if they decide to come back, should we push them to August? What do you think?
I think it's a great
I
idea.
think August is good for the county.
Are we allowed to do that? I don't know
I don't know. We took it up with John today, and he didn't object to that.
So I think you're absolutely right. I think there's no way we can have those 3 on the agenda for one
Right.
night. In fact,
Right.
I
Yeah.
expect the Verizon one to go very long.
And I expect that we may have to do a second one.
Right.
They've been waiting a long time, and I know that we've had a lot of public hearings for the first one, and those applications have changed. That application's changed. He's reduced the height of the quarry tower. We do know that there is no room on the tower for the Mount Airy Road. There is no room. He's got confirmation from those people and their board, and there's no room to build another tower. So we are locked into the tower that he gave us. But we are still waiting. The material that Ron has asked for forever, which are the mapping. We're having difficulty getting mappings from them that make any sense to anybody who is not an RF engineer. You cannot look at their map and know where you are, whether you're even in Ulster County. So it's hard to see whether or not all areas of the town are covered. So that's what we're holding off on. And I don't know what's taking so long, but anyway, so we'll see. I'll talk to Dennis and find out where he is, and just maybe set an expectation for no more than an hour of public hearing for them, and turn the most of it over to Verizon. I think the other one will take a very short time. I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of businesses around there that are going to complain.
So wait, you're thinking we would do both public hearings in one night?
I want to just get a sense of where Dennis is on his review.
I mean, I don't think any of us should be expected to be on this public meeting until like 11 o'clock at night, which happened once before.
Right.
We'll be past 11, Holly.
It would be past 11.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just
right. But understand, then that we'll be in the same position the next month, because we'll have Verizon may come back for another public hearing, and then we'll have the county too, and then any other new applications that come in. So let me just talk to the lawyers about it a little bit more and get a little bit more clarity about it. And okay. Did anybody else see that notice that I emailed you all about that notice about the company in Maryland that wanted that information, but I had never seen a notice like that before. So.
And when was that placed again? I don't remember.
Oh,
It
that
was
was a
over
month
a
ago
month
anyway.
ago. Over a
Oh,
month,
okay.
maybe more, month and a half, 2 months, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Patty,
anyway,
I wonder if when you talk to the lawyers, maybe ask if we're allowed, if we can, if we
Kevin,
can,
Kevin, I hope the meeting
Yeah,
is over.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Holly.
But, well, there's no motion to close, so we're still recording.
No, I don't want to record anymore. We adjourned.
Okay.
We
Okay.
voted to adjourn.
Motion to
Motion, we-
adjourn.
Second.
Nobody did that. We did a motion to adjourn.
No, we
Okay.
didn't.
We didn't? Oh, damn, again, I didn't do it. Okay, all right, let's make a motion to adjourn.
I
I'm
made
sorry,
the
I thought
motion.
we had done that. I
I'll
make a
second.
motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I
Second.
have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Henry,
For-
Aye.
Holly,
yes.
Tim,
Yes.
who else am I missing?
Joe,
Randy?
Oh, Randy, you were part of the original meeting, so you can vote too.
Yes.
And I say yes.
All
Okay,
right.
so
My
Kevin.
question for you